Donna O'Toole. Good morning, Donna.
Good morning, Neil.
How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah.
Jolly good. And good morning, everybody that's attended this morning's webinar. We have a nice full house of attendees today, which is great. So my name is Neil Copping. I am the General Manager from Awards International. And some of you may know us through the award programs that we run throughout the UK, of which you can see on your screen at the moment. And we do a number of these webinars on how to write world-class award entries, and also we do a webinar on how to produce an award-winning presentation. And the reason we do these is because both our customers and our judges at the awards tell us that one of the most important things within winning awards is the quality of your written entry. So what we like to do at Awards International is to give everybody that enters our awards an equal chance of producing the best awards entry that they can, to give them the best chance of winning one of our business awards. And that's where we work with Donna. Donna O'Toole runs an agency called August, and Donna is a specialist in writing both awards entries and Queen's Awards entries, of which I think you're still running on 100% success rates on the Queen's Awards.
We're doing very well.
That's really good, Donna, really good. So Donna today is going to talk you through the principles on how to write a world-class awards entry. Throughout today's session, there'll be plenty of time to ask questions. How this will work, though, is Donna will run through her presentation, and if you have any questions throughout Donna's presentation, please post them into our main chat box. Then, at the end of the session that Donna runs, I will put all those questions to Donna, and hopefully answer some of the questions myself that you may have about anything that Donna said, and maybe anything about entering out any of our awards. So, without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to Donna, who will talk to you about how to write a world-class awards entry. Over to you, Donna.
Thank you, Neil. Thanks. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Nice to see some new names and some familiar ones too. So thanks for coming along. Today we're going to, as Neil said, we're going to talk through the principles of some of the things behind writing an entry that's going to get you where you want to be, which is to be a winner. But actually one of the most valuable parts of the webinar is the question and answer session, because actually you can all learn, everyone can learn from each other during that. So please don't be shy. No question is stupid or we will laugh at. We've been asked all sorts of exciting things. So please just go ahead and write in the chat box and we'll answer those questions at the end. Okay. So just to get you started, we'll just talk about quickly why you want to enter awards in the first place. Because after all, it can be hard work and time consuming, as we all know. So why would you even bother? Well, a major reason to enter is actually now creating social proof. Social proof has become one of the biggest drivers of business now in the world, and it can be encouraged and created by gaining external credibility, which will raise your profile. In simple terms, social proof is the desire to mirror the behaviours of your social network. So if your social network is trusting and sharing information about you that they want to buy from you, your particular brand, then others are more likely to do the same. And this is where awards can come in and really help you. Winning awards can give your business and your people and your products the edge over your competitors, and it will help you to build credibility, trust, and loyalty. The impact of winning awards means that your customers will feel secure, they'll trust you, and they'll become really proud brand advocates, and that will help to build your social proof by them sharing your brand with their contacts. And we all know that at the end of the day, a word of mouth referral is worth so much more than just a standalone marketing message. So it's really valuable to use your awards in that way. There's lots more reasons to enter awards, of course, though. So you can use awards to engage and motivate your team, so they're all heading for the same goal and knowing that they could actually receive some personal recognition for their efforts. Awards are also a great opportunity for development, particularly once you get through to a presentation stage of an award, where your team has the chance to talk to the judges and get objective feedback. And this can be really helpful for continued development and for learning from other entrants too, actually. So winning awards may feel like hard work to start with, but it will make growing your business easier in the long run, and the return on investment really is priceless. So how do you win awards in the first place? Well, that's the ultimate goal, isn't it? Today we're going to go through 5 major points that will help you to start winning the awards that you enter. These include how to identify your award-winning USP, how to choose a winning category, how to write an outstanding story, how to present your evidence, and how to impress the judges. So by the end of the webinar, my aim is to help you to understand what you need to do to help you win, and to help you understand what's going to make the judges sit up and take notice when they're reading your award entry. Also, what you should avoid doing if you don't want to lose out to your competitors. Obviously, we don't have a huge amount of time today, so I'm only going to just touch on all of these areas. If you've got any questions about them that you'd like some deeper knowledge about, then obviously just pop those in at the end, or feel free to email me and we can talk directly. Okay, so first of all, what's your, sorry, I'm moving my slides on, I'm ahead of myself here. So first of all, we're going to look at your award-winning USP, okay? Now, I always say that if you don't run in the right race, you're not going to have a chance of winning. So picking the right award and the right categories for your business is actually going to put you in the best position to win in the first place. But there's quite a lot to think about when it comes to finding your USP. So again, if you've got any questions, send them in about your, how do you find that winning story to start with? One thing that all award-winning businesses, teams and individuals have in common is that they don't just operate well on a day-to-day basis. They tend to do something special, or they've done something special that's going to make them stand out. But before you even choose which award to enter, you need to find your USP so that you can use that to choose the right category. So you could get a pen and paper and write down now what you think it is that actually sets you apart from your competitors. Is it your people? Is it your products? Is it your service? Is it your community support? Is it the whole package? Now think about what the most notable or exciting achievements you've made over the last 12 to 24 months have been. Okay, have you given your customers' needs a bit extra thought, and have you created something that makes their experience much better? Have you taken a new idea further than anyone else has dared, and you've achieved great results from it? Have you given your colleagues or your employees the extra support they needed to grow the business? Whatever it is, make the list of what you've done well, and then pick out which achievements and initiatives have then created the biggest commercial results. So that's the biggest return on investment, the biggest growth in turnover, and most importantly, the biggest growth in profits. So here's an example. You might have taken on board some customer feedback about the speed of your service, and then created a new customer service initiative to respond to inquiries faster than ever before. If you did this, can you see a link between the new initiative and an upturn in your revenue? If so, this would be a great initiative to enter into a category highlighting innovation around customer service, for example. Whatever it is you've achieved needs to be linked to your business results and then to the category you choose to give you the best chance of winning. So now you should by now have thought a little bit about what you've done and the outcomes that have been created. And what you need to do next is link them together and build them into a powerful story that's going to attribute your business success to your identifiable achievements. So how do you create your winning story? Well, first of all, take your category and your award and use the category as the story theme. When you're entering awards, don't underestimate how easy it is to be distracted by the questions or to go off on a tangent in your award entry. A great way to avoid doing this is to look at the keywords used in the award entry questions, highlight them for reference, and then reflect them in your answers, backing them up with practical examples and results that show the judges that you have covered everything they're looking for in a winner. These are all key parts to judging criteria, and they include things like insights and drivers for change, innovations, initiatives undertaken, and results and outcomes. Don't be put off by the questions if they don't quite fit with the way you're used to telling your story. Just make sure you try and tell your story across all the questions, explaining who, what, why, where, and how you achieve success in the order that matches the criteria. So, for example, why did you make a change? What was the insight you gathered telling you, and how did you use this to improve on your service or product? Explain who led the initiatives, where and how they took place, and who benefited from the outcomes. And don't forget to include where you're hoping to go to in the future with your business as well, and how you aim to get there. Once you've created your story and fit this around the questions, the next thing you need to do is explain the outcomes and evidence your story with strong business results. So how do you use evidence to back up your claims? Well, all good business stories really do need to be backed up with evidence if they're going to stand any chance of winning. Because big claims and big results are just hot air if you haven't got something to evidence them. So take the two statements here, for example. Let's see. The first one says, our business is the best in the industry. We've created incredible results from our innovative initiatives, and our newest product has flown off the shelves. That sounds really good. It's very impressive, but it's lacking in any evidence whatsoever. So how about this as an alternative? Our business now services 58% of the market, making us the industry leader. We have grown by 18% year on year, and new product sales create 10% of our revenue in the last 12 months. Joe Bloggs says, this is a statement packed with facts and backed up by a customer testimonial, so it's much more likely to hit the mark with the judges. The first statement is full of big claims, and they might be true, but the lack of evidence and context to substantiate these claims means that the entry is really unlikely to score very many points. The second statement, meanwhile, clearly shows how the business compares to the market. It demonstrates exactly how much it's grown by, over what period of time, and what has contributed to that growth, as well as backing up the story with a compelling customer testimonial. Evidence can be presented in many ways, but ideally it should be chosen to fit your category. So, for example, if you're in a customer service category, show the judges real customer testimonials, show them improved NPS scores or survey results, show them growth in sales and new customer acquisitions. Direct your evidence at the customer for a customer-based category, and the same for other types of categories. So if you're a championing employee, a team or a leader, so an individual award, include feedback from their peers, as well as commercial evidence that shows how their hard work has actually paid off for the customers and for the business. You can use simple graphs and visual representations of your results to reinforce your entry, but always include a summary if you're going to add a graph, and don't expect the judges to just try and find your results by clicking on links or adding a marketing leaflet that they need to read through the whole entirety of in order to find the nugget that you're trying to tell them. If the results really matter, they should be clearly written in the body of your award entry. I always say don't take for granted that your supporting evidence will be read. Judges have an awful lot of material and information that they have to look through. So if something's important to your award entry, put it in the award entry. Don't leave it in an additional appendices. It's worth noting here that if your entry gets shortlisted, you will have the opportunity to bring your story to life in a presentation to the judges. But I can't stress enough that when you enter an award that allows a presentation, your written entry will provide 50% of your score, at least in the overall result. So keep this in mind and make sure that your written entry is outstanding. And then when you get to the presentation stage, you may already be in the lead in your category. And although every moment of your presentation will count, you might not have to score quite as many points in order to actually win at that stage. Now, if you download the free PDF we're going to give you after this webinar, you'll get a few presentation tips, and we also run other webinars on how to produce an award-winning presentation. So do feel free to sign up for those as well. But one of the key messages for both your entry and for a presentation, if you're doing one, is to get all the key people involved in your achievements fully on board. Give them an opportunity to explain the challenges they've faced and the difference their achievement has made to your business and your customers. And this will actually really help to connect with the judges and make a memorable impact within your entry. So a few award entry writing tips here. So every award entry calls for a different approach, of course it does. But as an experienced writer and a judge, I wanted to give you a few basic tips that can be applied to all your award entries. The first one is to be honest. Now, every business and industry has its challenges, and many successes are actually born out of failures. So don't be afraid to address the challenge that you've faced, and instead of risking a perfect glossy story unraveling during your presentation, actually write about the challenges in your entry and use them to show how you've risen from the ashes and overcome your challenges in order to create something amazing. Also, keep it simple. We appreciate that your really clever technical widget is changing the world, but if you enter a business award that welcomes competition across all industry sectors, then you can expect your entry to be judged by other business leaders, not by experts in your particular field. If the judges can't get to grips with your technical jargon without looking it up, the chances are you've lost the battle before you've even started. So if you can't explain what you do well in plain English, they're also going to wonder if your customers are having the best time, trying to understand your product or your service too. So to stand any chance of winning, you need to really ditch the jargon, forbid acronyms, and delete any words that can only be found in a technical journal, unless you absolutely have to include them, in which case please define and explain their meaning in plain English first. That will really help the judges and that will help you score points. Another one of my favourite quick win tips is choose facts over cliches. I'm often reading past entries that haven't won and helping businesses to tell their story in a way that will make them winners. So often these entries are full of jargon and cliches, and it's really no wonder they didn't get anywhere. So don't bury the facts in a pile of cliches, because actually it seems a bit untrustworthy, and the judges will think that you either don't know the facts or you're trying to hide something. So here's some examples, and this is really not too far from things I've read in real life. So the first one is a great one here. In a paradigm shift, we bit the bullet and thought outside the box to synergize with our team, break down the silos and do more with less. The net result was win-win. Well, what the judge is going to establish from that is really anyone's guess. So it's not the 1980s. So let's and we're not on The Apprentice. So let's try and avoid all the cliches. Instead, let's say something in plain English like this. We improved the customer and employee experience by training and developing a specialist customer service team. Within 12 months, this initiative resulted in an outstanding customer employee feedback and 20% growth in sales. I think you'd agree that's much clearer and certainly much easier to judge. So put yourself in the judge's shoes when you write and think about what you would actually really like to read if you were a judge. And of course, quality counts, doesn't it? So if you were ever a Cub, Scout or Brownie, you'll know that the motto "Be prepared" is the key to success. So give yourself plenty of time to prepare your entry, as you're going to need time to think about what to include, to gather the right evidence, and then to review and edit your entry before submitting. If you're entering any of the awards run by Awards International, you can get the awards entry criteria as soon as you sign up. So then you've got lots of time to think about it and to create ideas and build your brilliant entry. If you rush your entry, or your entry shows a general lack of time, care and attention, you really can't expect a panel of judges to spend their time taking it seriously. So don't forget, you're in a competition, you're going to compete on all levels, so it's time to step up with your spelling and really get great with your grammar. The best writers are always thankful to have the best editors and the best proofreaders. So, have some humility. Even Shakespeare had a proofreader. Don't get so attached to your words that you're too proud or afraid to ask for feedback. So ask a colleague to read your entry and listen to their feedback and their suggestions for improvements. Never ever submit the first draft of your entry. No matter how much of a wonderful writer you think you are, you should let the first draft of your entry breathe. Then after a couple of days, look at your entry again and you'll be surprised how much you actually want to change. So then it's time to start editing. Cut out meaningless fluff, delete superlatives, remove jargon, explain acronyms, shorten all the long sentences and run a spell check. Now read it aloud again. If you stumble over a point, keep editing. Write your entry as you speak. Makes it much easier to read and make every sentence matter. Next, if possible, share your entry with someone who knows very little about what you do and ask them for their honest feedback. How well do they understand your business by the end of it? There's some really good tools out there for checking spelling and grammar, so I've put a link to one here, Grammarly, which could help you. Don't just rely on your computer, as this can really favour Americanisms and it misses mistakes that are words out of context rather than simply misspelled. So just keep repeating this step until your entry is as good as it possibly can be and you've tightened it up as much as you can. Don't think that, where there's a word count, if something wants an answer of, say, 300 words, then that gives you a good idea of the kind of depth of answer you're going to need to give. But, don't write extra just for the sake of filling in words. Keep it succinct. Okay, so I think that's bringing us towards the end. So thank you for listening. I'll leave you with one of my favourite quotes here. And that's, "You were born to win, but to be a winner, you must plan to win, prepare to win, and expect to win." So yeah, I think we can, if anyone's got any questions about their award entry or any awards that you're thinking of entering, then please just let us know.
Okay, thank you very much, Donna. I hope everybody found that useful. I've got one question come through, Donna, from Tina. Tina's asked, "What's the best awards presentation that you've ever seen, and why?"
I think the best presentations always are the most enthusiastic and passionate. So I think it's not always necessarily about what you're talking about, but it's keeping the judges engaged and having a human story in there. I think one of the winners recently at I think it was the Digital Awards, UK Digital Awards, was great. I really enjoyed their presentation because they had a really human story in there and ended up telling us about a 90-year-old gentleman who was somebody they had helped to get onto Twitter and had ended up delivering a cheese sandwich to. So it was fun and entertaining, and yeah, that's one that I've enjoyed. How about you, Neil?
I think the one that sticks to mind in my experience was at the Customer Experience Awards a couple of years ago, where the overall winner, which was Eurotunnel, actually brought along their customer to be part of the presentation, and the customer and their pet dog, and I think that enabled them to really bring to life what the initiative that they then implemented in their business and their organisation, and what impact that had on their customers. They'd obviously got the data to support that, but actually to have a customer there to talk about what it meant to her to be able to take her dog very easily from the UK to France on a regular basis, and the level of service that was received just brought that whole initiative to life. So yeah, that's probably sort of one of the best ones I've seen.
Excellent.
So,
Excellent.
okay. That moves me on to the next question, which is around props. John's asked, what's the best way for us to use props to bring our stories, bring our submissions to life? Can we put sort of additional information into our presentations that will help bring the entry to life?
Yeah, I think it's nice to bring something along if it's relevant. I'm more of a it needs to be relevant to keep you engaged. Sometimes some props that are brought along can be a bit random. We do get given sweets and cakes sometimes. That's nice. Can't complain about that. But I think more than anything, I would say focus on the content of your presentation and how well that's running more so than the props.
Okay, thanks very much. Next question I have is from, I can't read this properly. Tone. I can't read. Sorry, my apologies if I got your name wrong. But the question is about tone of voice. When writing your awards entry, what's the best tone of voice to use within your written submission?
Okay, so this is one that comes up quite often actually. Tone of voice is important to a certain extent. I think sometimes what people mean by tone of voice is actually whether to write it in first or third person. So there's two elements there. So tone of voice, sometimes people want to write in their brand tone of voice, which depending on your brand can be really unique. But I think the most important part is actually to write in a way that matches the type of award that you're going for. So actually, more so than thinking about how your brand tone of voice looks, and this is not being publicized, so it's more about plain English and getting your message across clearly to the judges. And I would match the formality of the actual award entry questions and reflect back the type of words and constructions that are being used in the questions. So, if you're being asked for insights and drivers for change, and actually what you can do is you can break down those questions into subheadings. That can help you to stick to the question, but also to maintain your tone of voice throughout. I think it's nicer to write in the first person. So we did this, we did that, rather than in the third person, which is they did this and they did that, because that brings you much closer to your entry naturally. And when you're reading it as a judge, you feel like you're engaging with that person or that company that's written that award. The only time I would say perhaps it doesn't work so well is if you're nominating an individual, or you're writing your own award entry for yourself, which sometimes happens. Because if it's an individual category, for say, let's say best leader, to say I did this, I did that, I'm brilliant for all these amazing reasons can be difficult for somebody to write, but also can seem a little lacking in humility sometimes. So I think it's actually quite nice to write in the third person when it's for an individual award. So yeah, I think think about it, but ultimately, just you're trying to make it as easy as possible for the judges to engage with your award entry, connect with it, and understand it. So tone of voice is all down to keeping plain English and connecting with the judges.
Okay, thank you, Donna. Next question I've got here is from Pamela. Pamela said, do you have any tips for the presentation stages for people who are shortlisted?
Yes, lots, Pamela. Thanks for your question. You should join our presentation webinar, which I forget when the next one is, but you will get a notification about that because we do go through that a lot. But yeah, probably too many tips to say here, but certainly start preparing early. And if you're building a PowerPoint presentation, then remember that's not there for you to read off of. That's there for you to give it some visual interpretations of your message for. So they're probably quite big. That's probably quite a big tip. But I do think join the webinar because you'll get lots and lots of tips there, and also you'll get to interact with the other attendees who've always got some great questions which help as well.
Okay, I'd also add as well, Pamela, we have on the 5th of April, we have a live webinar with Donna and the CEO from Close Brothers, who won an award at this year's Customer Experience Awards. And the CEO is going to be explaining what the entry was about, but how they approached to become a winning organisation, of which obviously the presentation was a key part of that process they went through. So if you sign up for that webinar, there will be some information coming out, but that's on the 5th of April. You can find out a lot more about writing an award entry and obviously doing an awards presentation. So next question we have is from Roxanne. Roxanne is asking, how do you work out how much time to spend on an entry? And it's a two-part question, and how formal and informal should it be?
Hi Roxanne, thanks for your questions. Well, that's a bit how long is a piece of string, that question. So every award that you enter will have a different requirement and a different amount of questions. Some awards don't have any questions, they just want you to put forward a story about your business or about a particular aspect of your business. So it's really, personally, we don't work to a time frame. Well, obviously there's deadlines, but we don't work to a specific time frame as in hours on an award entry. It takes as long as it takes to get it brilliant. I'd say if you prepare if you think about what your story is and think about your USP and gather your evidence make your own sort of library, if you like, of evidence that you can use, then that does speed up putting your award entries together later on because you've got all the information there. And it's about then piecing that all together. But really, how long is a piece of string? How long it takes me to write an award entry versus we may be completely different. And some awards, like the Queen's Award for Enterprise, for example, we do a lot. You're looking at, it's like writing a dissertation for a business, but you're looking at 8,000 words or something. Whereas an average award entry would be between 1,000 and 2,000 words. So, but I would say don't whatever you do, don't rush through it, and also don't underestimate how much time you spend actually editing the entry, because the writing phase is phase one, but the editing phase can actually really hugely improve the quality of your entry. So allow yourself a lot of time for writing and editing. And how formal, informal should it be? I think that depends on the award that you're going for. But ultimately, plain English works for every award. So, don't try and be too highbrow and technical because it's a highbrow award. Because actually, we're all just human beings who are judging these awards who need to get to grips quickly and easily with what you're writing. So, but equally, I think you need to maintain a decent level of formality in that. It's not a casual thing. This is something that's important to your business, and you you need to make sure that you reflect that in the tone that you're taking. Sorry, that all seems a little bit woolly, doesn't it? But it's very difficult to be very specific when we're speaking generally. Each award is quite different.
Okay, thank you, Donna. The one thing I would also add, with regards to how much time you spend, it really, as Donna says, it depends on how much time you want to invest in the entry. I know a lot of organisations, they will have a team of people writing their awards entry, but what they then do is they then send that entry out around the organisation for people to read and evaluate and feedback on. Now that is quite a timely process to do that, but obviously the value of that is absolutely massive, because you're getting people who potentially could be at the same level as the judges at the awards, evaluating your written entry and giving you feedback, so you can then tweak and enhance your entry before you finally submit it. And I know with our awards, as soon as you pay for your entry, you get your entry fee. So if you pay for your entry 3 or 4 months before the entry submission date, then you have 3 or 4 months where you can work and fine tune your entry ready for submission, so on the entry deadline. So I hope that seems to work for a lot of organisations, but that is a timely process. Okay, so we have another question now from Madeline. Madeline asks, how long should your responses to questions be?
Hi, Madeline. Well, ultimately, the questions the award entry that you're writing should have a limit, a word limit, a word count. Most award entries give that in words, some give that in pages. So it's important to look at the criteria before you start. And actually, if it's in pages, does that include inserting photographs and graphs and things like that, which is obviously going to give you more pages. So do check that for every single award that you enter, because it will be different. But what I would say is, if you have an overarching word count of, say, 2,000 words for the entire award entry, but that's not limited by question, I would try and balance your answers across each question so that they're more or less equal, because generally speaking, you will be the judges will be marking you per question, and each question will generally give the same amount of maximum points. So if you give a huge answer to one question and then really quite a minimal answer to another question, because you're trying to get your words, all squeezed in, you're probably going to lose marks on the question that you didn't answer as fully. So I would try and shift your answers such that they fit in a relatively balanced manner across all the entry questions, in order to give yourself the maximum chance of scoring maximum points. And also, take some idea. If an award says you've got 2,000 words, you kind of expect to see around 2,000 words for something, maybe 1,800 words. If you're writing 1,000-word answer for a 2,000-word award entry, you're probably missing some information out there. Equally, if you've gone right over and it's 3,000 words, there's probably a lot of waffle that could be cut out in that award entry. So, take the actual the parameters of the award entry that you're writing, stick to them, and bear in mind, therefore, they're giving you a clue as to the volume of information that they're expecting.
Okay, thank you, Donna. So it's probably a follow-on question to that, Donna, from Catriona, who says, if you go over the word count per question, are there consequences?
Yeah, we come and lock you up. Hi, Catriona. Well, I think this goes back to your question. They say it's much harder to write something short than it is to write something long. So if you're going over the word count, the chances are you need to spend more time on your entry, because actually you need to spend more time editing it. Don't be afraid to help you to do that. Don't be afraid to, if they're short answers, write an introduction and then bullet point the points that you're trying to make, rather than actually writing long sentences. That can help you to cut your word counts down. I would say, as a general rule, most awards will allow you to go over a little bit and there won't be consequences, up to a maximum of 10%, most awards. But don't take that for granted. Some awards are hugely strict and some judges are hugely strict. And if I'm judging 5 entries and everyone else has managed to stick to the word limit and someone else has gone over, they're going to lose points, because I think that that the care and attention hasn't been spent on their entry to get it within the parameters of the criteria. The criteria is there for a reason, because otherwise people would go crazy, and judges only have a certain amount of time to actually to judge these things. So no one's going to thank you for going over, even if you're desperate to tell them absolutely everything there is to know about your business. Cut it down, put things into bullet points. If you're able to, use a graph or a table or a picture or something like that instead. Or if it's, sometimes I find people go over because they're putting loads of customer testimonials, for example, and they don't want to take out the content from their entry. Well, if you're allowed a supporting document, you could refer to the customer. You could put a couple of testimonials in and then say, please see the supporting document for more testimonials, which gives the judge an option of looking at that additional information, should they wish to, or should they have the time. But that goes back to what I said before about, everything that's important should be in your entry, but you should be able to write that within a given word count. And just remember that you might not get consequences as such, but you might not be the judge's favourite if you go over, put it that way.
Okay, thank you very much, Donna. Got a very interesting question here from Roxana, which I'll probably answer someone as well, but I'll hand over to you first, Donna. Is there a difference in perceived credibility between paid for and free to enter awards?
Hi, Roxanne. No, I don't. Well, I mean, this is another little how long's a piece of string, because there are literally thousands and thousands of awards out there. So, this is a general answer. I would say no, not necessarily, because there are many membership associations and magazines that are credible, that don't charge entry fees for their actual awards, but that's generally because they're charging for something else. So they're charging for subscription to a membership or a magazine or something. So there is actually a payment process in there somewhere. Some awards, let's give you an example, like the British Chamber Awards. If you're a member, you don't have to pay to enter, and there's no less credibility in that than being free to enter than there would be in a paid for award. I would only say look out for, and actually I get people email me these, sometimes you can get emails, a bit spammy emails saying, oh, you've been nominated for this award that you had no clue about. You can, it's all free, you're already in the final, just come along. And that's some kind of event organizer that's trying to get you along to something where you're actually going to pay to attend an event. So no, I wouldn't say in general, but I think you need to remember that awards ultimately need to be funded in some way in order to put on the events and in order to gain credible entrance as well. So typically you would expect to pay, I would say.
Okay. Well, what I'd probably add to that as well, Donna, just obviously speaking from the awards international point of view, we charge for entries for our awards. But one thing that's really important for us is that at all stages during the process, there should be measurable return on investment for everybody that enters awards, over and above the normal return on investment you would get through the PR for becoming an awards finalist or winning an award, and the motivational impact that entering awards could have on your teams. So what we do within our entry fee for our awards, it means that one, you can come along on the morning of the awards finals and present your initiative to a panel of paid judges. That is part of your entry fee if you are shortlisted as a finalist. And secondly, every awards finalist will receive a 10 to 15 page benchmark feedback report on their entry as an awards finalists. Okay, and that's what we use our money for the pay part of the entry, to actually deliver every awards finalist that benchmark report. And if you think, if you're presenting in front of a panel of anywhere between 3 and 7 judges, you've got 7 industry experts sitting there evaluating your written entry, and then on the day of the finals evaluating your presentation and giving you comprehensive feedback on that entry. And that is feedback we give. So I think, yeah, I totally agree with Donna. I don't think it has any impact on credibility. But what I would suggest is you look at what you get for your entry fee when entering awards. And different organisations do different things. But I know with us, it's really important that for your entry fee, if you are shortlisted as a finalist, you will get that feedback. You will get the chance to come and present live in the morning of the judges. What you would then do is if you wanted to then come to the actual awards ceremony itself, then an additional fee would be required. Okay, so I hope that answers that.
I've got another question here, Neil.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, from Laura, who says, our achievements could work for more than one category. How do I pick which category to enter? Okay, Laura, so there's a few ways of looking at this, because this is often the case. So let's take, for example, a business that's created a new customer contact center, and in return they've received better feedback than they've had before, and they've got more customers now. So they could look at entering an award that recognises the technology or innovation in the contact centre, and they could look at the results of the customer service part of things as well, and that could really go into two different types of categories. They could enter a category specifically for winning as a contact centre, or you could then use that initiative actually as a case study within an entry for another category. That let's say your utility provider would see you enter a category for utilities. So there's no limit to the amount of categories that you can enter, and I actually always say if you've been doing something really well and you've had a good year or good couple of years, or you've seen growth over that time, then now's the time to jump on that bandwagon and maximize your opportunities for winning awards, because you know, another year will pass and that will become old news and you won't be able to do that again. So I would say, you know, maximize your chances, get into as many different categories as you can for your achievements, and you'll probably have to position those achievements in different ways, but ultimately you're going to maximize what you've been doing over the past year or so. So no, certainly shouldn't hold you back from entering more than one category. What do you think, Neil?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's sort of the more categories you enter, if you're entering categories that are of value to you as an organisation to win, then the more categories that you enter, the more chances of winning you have. We've had many organisations that will enter up to 10 categories at some point. Royal London last year at the Financial Services Awards entered 10 categories, and they ended up walking away with 3 awards on those categories. I don't think they were all the same initiative going into those categories, but they definitely took an approach that we're really proud about what we're doing and we want to shout as loud about it as we can. So entering as many categories as we felt that were suited for our value to our organisation was the right strategy for them.
Okay.
So, okay, all right then, Donna. Well, it looks like we've have you got any more questions your end, Donna?
I've got one more that someone sent me,
You've
which
got
is Tim, and he
yeah.
says, can we win an award for a project if it's not yet fully complete? Well, I'd say the answer to this, Tim, is it's going to depend on what evidence you have available to demonstrate your success. So let's say you're in the middle of a 2-year marketing plan, and therefore you should actually already have a year's results already, and then you'll be able to show the return on investment that you've made to date. And that could be using customer feedback, showing growth to the business, and details on where you've taken your business from and to. And I'd say awards are always looking for current projects and current results, so there's no need to hold back if your project is ongoing, but you do need to find some way of measuring your success and demonstrating that. So you can measure incrementally. You can say, you know, this is the measurement we've taken over a 3-month period, and our projections show that this will be the measurement over a year, you know, that type of thing. So you could be a bit more creative in your approach, but equally I'd position yourself in a category where perhaps it's for a new product or a new service or something like that, so that actually you're not expected to have a huge amount of results for that. So yeah, you don't let it hold you back if you're mid-project, but do make sure you've got some measurable evidence to add to your award entry.
Okay, we have one more question just come in as well, Donna, from Louise, saying, if you do enter more than one category, do you have to pay more than one entry fee?
That's one for you, I think, Neil.
I think that is one for me, isn't it? In the case of our awards, the answer is yes. The more categories you enter, you have to pay the fee. We do a special offer on various categories. So if you enter a discipline or sector specific category, you will get a discounted fee on a people specific category. So our awards categories are broken down into three areas. One is sector related, one is a discipline related to the type of awards that we're running, and one are people related awards within that awards program. So we do discount the people if you enter one, but it will vary from awards program to awards program on their structure and approach to entry fees. In relation to why do we charge extra to enter the fees? Basically, another entry means you'll get another benchmark feed report from the finalists. So it really covers the cost of the production and the administration of that feedback that we give you after the awards finals.
Okay, I've got another question, Neil.
Yeah.
On categories, while we're talking about categories, that actually somebody asked me the other day, and that was whether there any categories are more valuable to enter for business than other categories. And I think that's something that actually, when you're talking about return on investment for your entry fee, or even for for the whole process, that's something you should think about. But ultimately, the value of the category that you enter is going to come down to what your business goals are, okay? And value, perceived value, therefore, to your business. So when we're creating, so what we do is we would talk to a business first of all, before we even start entering awards, about what it is that you're doing really well and what it is that you now want to go on and achieve in your business. Are you looking to recruit? Are you looking to stop attrition? Are you looking to gain more customers? Are you looking to gain investment? What is it you want to gain? And how can we use awards and categories to actually help you to do that? And then we would put together a strategy that actually puts all those categories in place. So let's give you an example. So let's say your business is on a recruitment drive, then actually winning a best employer type category is going to link really nicely to that business goal. And I've certainly spoken to people who, having won best employer categories, have found that the next time that they have advertised, they've had triple the amount of applications from a better quality of talent as well. So that's a good one. If you're looking for gaining more customers and you want to ultimately increase your revenue, then any kind of customer focused award and category is going to be really valuable to you to win, because ultimately that's saying to the customer, we are the best at doing this, we're going to give you great customer service. And we all want to, whatever we're purchasing, you go online, you have a look around and you compare brands, you're going to want to go for the customer, for the brand that's going to give you the best customer service. So a badge of credibility and an award for that, and a category in customer experience or customer service is going to really help with that. So I think when it comes to category choice, not only have you got to look at your USP, but you've got to look at your business goals as well, and your internal ideas. Perhaps you want to raise the morale for your staff and actually recognise some success internally, to keep morale boosted and keep that success. So you might be looking at individual categories for individual team leaders or for teams. So yeah, look at your category choice in comparison to your business goals. And that should help you see the value.
Okay, right. I think we've naturally come to the end there, Donna, of the questions. I can't see, there's nothing popping up on the chat screen now. So all really that leaves us to say is, first of all, a big thank you to Donna from August. Please feel free, Donna's email's here for everybody to see. Please feel free to connect with Donna on LinkedIn or to drop her an email. And Donna will be more than happy to have a chat with you about your organisation and what type of awards to enter, and maybe any thoughts on awards, that initiatives that you have that you want to get recognised over the coming year. And also, just to let you know, everybody will be receiving an email following this session where we will give you a free download of the voice recording of this session, and you'll also have a free download of a PDF that supports this webinar. And finally, and here is a list of all of the awards, international awards that we currently have running or going to the award finals at the moment. So we have the UK Employee Experience Awards finals happening this Thursday in London, where we have over 200 people at the awards finals representing over sort of 70 organisations. We have the finals of the Professional Sales Awards happening on the 17th of May. And a biggie here, big event coming up on the 26th of April is our Winning with Customer Experience Conference. Now, one of the unique things we offer all of our awards finalists is an opportunity to tell the story of their awards entry at our Winning with conferences. And at this conference on the 26th of April, we have 25 award-winning presenters presenting the story of how they transformed their customer experience within their organisation and how that led to them winning a Customer Experience Award at last year's UK Customer Experience Awards. Also open for entry at the moment are the Financial Services Experience Awards, the UK Customer Experience Awards, and also the UK Business Awards, which opened for entry last week. So if you do have any questions or you'd like to speak to one of our awards consultants about an initiative that you have in your organisation that you'd like to enter into one of our awards programmes, then please feel free to contact Fiona via email or phone number, and the details will be here, and we'll also put Fiona's details in the email that we send you after this presentation. And the final thing to add is, don't forget you can join Donna, myself, and the CEO from Close Brothers for an in-depth analysis and interview on how they won a Customer Experience Awards at last year's Customer Experience Awards event. And I know Donna was an incremental part in helping this organisation win their awards. I believe you wrote their awards entry, is that right, Donna?
Yeah, so we're going to talk about actually how we devised their story, their USP, and actually not only how that informed their award entry and their presentation. We made a film, and also, but now how it's informed their ongoing marketing messages and has ultimately built their bottom line tremendously. So yeah, so it's really interesting actually, and really kind of them to allow us to share that kind of insight, because you won't often find out that type of information from a company. So I think it's definitely worth joining us for that.
Excellent, excellent. So we will be emailing you in the next week or so with details about that webinar, and also the Close Brothers will also be telling that story and bringing that to life at the Winning with Customer Experience Conference on the 26th of April. So all that's left for me to say is, once again, thank you, Donna. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Great, lovely working with you again. And secondly, thank you to everybody who has attended our webinar today. And I hope to see you at one of our awards finals in the very, very near future. So thank you very much, everybody, and have a good rest of your day. Thank you.